Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 19th day of August, 2019. Well, if you've been keeping up, no jury duty today for my husband. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they just make deals or something. I don't know. Or maybe there's no court today. But anyhow, we'll check the website again this evening and see if he has to go tomorrow. But so far, the only thing he's had to do is go for orientation. So we're still on track. Anyhow, the weekly Rune and Moon post is up for the week. So if you want to check that out on the blog over at imsteppingaside.com, it's over there. It's up now, as is the Monday correspondences. See, I did all that before I did this. Maybe I can make it a trend. I'm trying to be really responsible and really organized just in case I have to go with him, because I'll take him up there, because it's in another town. And so then I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll probably hang around until lunchtime and have lunch with him. And if it looks like he's going to be there the rest of the day, then I'll come home and get some watering done. If not, I'll just wait for him. But, it means I won't be here doing this. So I might have to do it tonight. We'll just have to see. I won't know till after 6 o'clock. Anyhow. But if this is your first time here, welcome. It's going to be a little crazy this week. It was last week and this week are his 2 weeks of jury duty. So we'll see. So far, so good. Nothing yet. He doesn't mind doing it. He really doesn't. It's just that we have so much to do around here. And this week is going to be in the 90s again. So, we have to water and just make sure nothing dies. And I think it'll be fine. I know that we're probably worrying for nothing, but you know how it goes. That's just what happens. And anyway, we have a moon in Aries today still. At this time, though, it's in the 7th house of partnership. So maybe a little action-oriented stuff this Monday. Probably why I'm feeling so, drawn to getting things done, maybe. I don't know. I spent yesterday taking care of some herbs and things, and I got some tinctures finished this weekend, and so lots of things, because harvest is going to start here before long, and we're trying to structure things in a way that everything doesn't all happen at once. So I've been doing beans and broccoli right now, and we'll see. We'll see when the tomatoes start. But the blackberries are on now. Jerry's doing those. The raspberries are pretty much finishing out, and I don't really need any more, so I'm kind of letting the birds and the ducks take those, but whatever's left. But because it's a lot in there, it's a pretty big bed, and for just 2 people. But we do gather it all for the year for smoothies, and now he's making raspberry wine, which is really nice. He's done a really good job with that. So there's that. But anyway, if you're working magic, fire is strong today, water is weak. So, if you're working something, given that it's a Monday, you might want to think about doing something with respect to balanced emotions. When elemental water's weak, we tend to be a little emotional. We're not in charge of our emotions as much. Maybe we might be given to tearfulness and things like that. And if you're already somebody that's given to that, depending on how you feel about it, you might be horrified by it. The Aries influence might be horrified by it. The independent, action-oriented person and everything. So hard to say with all of that. Oops, there goes a card. I think I forgot one light too. Let's turn that one on. Put a little bit of a cover over it so it doesn't blind me. The card I dropped, though, was the 4 of Wands. So just keep that one in mind, should that come up for you today. Issues of harmony with others and balanced intention. That's the thing about the 4 of Wands. You really are coming together with somebody. You see 2 people that are likely getting married or have gotten married. They've already had the ceremony, and now they're standing out there raising their bouquets high in the air. While there's people behind him, likely, that's balanced will coming together in intention with someone else. really kind of an exciting card, better than the Four of Cups, which is more like a pity party than anything else. I mean, I suppose you could be, you know, a little more magnanimous about it and just say, well, he's just allowing his emotions to settle, but I'm not so sure about that. Let's go ahead and get started and take our first card for today, see what we have. If you're working off of the mansions of the moon in your magic until 11:26 this morning, Alnath is active, and that's a mansion that causes conflict and promotes travel. So I don't know, if you're going to do something like that this morning, you'll have to get on with it here, because that's just about another 2 hours that it's active. And then Albachon comes into place, and that's about finding treasures and retaining prisoners. So, you can work with that if you like. But here we start out with the ninth card of the major arcana, called the Hermit, which we've not seen. Maybe I've never pulled that in one of these readings. Isn't that interesting? 9 is about completion. Today, the energy for today being the 19th, we're talking new beginnings. It's a 1 energy, so completion and new beginnings. But here we have the Hermit high on atop a snowy peak, looking down, almost like he's on the precipice. But he's holding his lantern there that's lit with the Star of David inside. He's holding a staff in his left hand, in his receptive hand. He's bringing light to the world, wisdom, alignment. It's about retreat. So today maybe we're taking stock and maybe retreating from things and just trying to gain a little inner wisdom. Monday's wonderful for that. Monday's great for trance work, where you can go within in meditation and just try to bring everything into alignment before the week begins. It's nice in the morning to call back your energy and dissolve all energetic channels. That's another thing that's nice to do each day. I like to do it twice a day. Sort of keeps the vampiric energy at bay. Every time we think about something or give something an attention or have a conversation with somebody, but even if we just think it, we're creating a thought channel. Everything is a projection of thought that manifests, that slows down enough to manifest somehow into form. Whether it's we're creating misery for ourselves and we're harming our body by the thoughts we have, there's one way we manifest it. It's not like I'm thinking, okay, I want a cup of tea in my hand and it magically is going to appear. It isn't like that, but it's that we manifest what we believe. And so if we believe in the other instead of the other side of self, then sometimes maybe we might see someone as the enemy. Maybe it's at the heart of racism, is people seeing too many people as the other instead of a brother or the other side of self. So today on a Monday with the Hermit, it's telling us to go in perhaps and reevaluate our polarity, our beliefs, how in balance we are, and whether or not the light of spirit is guiding our path. So often we're so caught up in ego here, we don't remember that we're actually spirit focused into form. If we would begin there and see the world through source vision, see the world without judgment, then it would just simply be something to experience, and we would move away from things that didn't feel good to us and stay with things that did. So in any event, when you have the light of spirit actually lighting your path, basically providing that vision for you, it's a very different experience than when ego drives the boat, basically. Let's do another card. When we see a major arcana card, however, and especially if we begin with one, especially one that's about completion, then it's basically telling us we know what we need to do here. We know what we need to know. We know what the truth is. We just need to allow ourselves to know it. Going within sort of does that. You really can't escape it when it's all yourself, There's nobody else in the mix. You really can't. Eventually, you have to stop lying to yourself, in other words. So let's do another card. But this is a soul archetype card. So this is higher self tapping us on the shoulder saying, hello, remember me, I'm you. or actually you're me. So in any event, let's do another card. Well, somebody's calling us. I don't know who it is. We declined it. Well, here we have the Ten of Wands. Now, excuse me. There's probably a couple of ways of looking at this card. Well, probably more than that. But here we have a card that aligns with today's energy. It's a 1 energy being a 10. So new beginnings. I mean, in a sense, you see him walking, he's bent down, he's carrying 10 wands or 10 spears or 10 staffs, 10 poles, if you will. The idea of a wand is not the same for a witch as it is for this. So anyway, when I think wands, I mean, I'm thinking, wands, right? As a martial artist, these are staffs to me. So I don't know. In any event, we have a sense of new beginnings, but here we're carrying a heavy burden, aren't we? However, the other way to look at this, and perhaps the more spirit-based way of looking at this, if we're thinking in terms of the hermit, instead of thinking of it in terms of heavy burden or a heavy load, we have all that we need, and we're ready to begin anew. We're prepared for the future. He's say he's bringing in wood for the winter, for example. All right, he's gone out, he's chopped the wood, he's bringing it home. He's well prepared for the winter, for the new season to begin. So you can think of this from the ego standpoint of, oh my gosh, he's not looking where he's going, and he's got such a heavy load here. But you have to ask yourself, why is he doing this? Is he going to a new job? Is he because wands reflects the fire element and the will within to be creative and to manifest. So what is he manifesting? It seems like he's got everything that he needs to do that, doesn't he? So instead of looking at whatever's going on in your life as a burden, you might, the job that you go to, maybe it does provide you with enough money, though, to live and to have everything that you need. And to maybe take, and again, if you have dissatisfaction, use the wisdom from the hermit. If you have dissatisfaction in a job, if maybe it's just really not what you want to be doing, well, then use it as a springboard to then prepare for something new. It's not uncommon for someone to start gathering up supplies if they're going to open a competing business, or maybe just a business that maybe has something to do with where you work or a skill that you might have, but it's really not going to be in competition with the business you're going to be leaving. But the whole idea is that while you're there, you're planning for the future. And here, even though his head is down, he's not really looking where he's going. He doesn't have to, because he knows the way there. So there's really nothing for him to stumble on there in between where he is now and the town in the distance there where he's going. So he's well prepared for the future, I would say, for this new beginning. Let's do another card. Right now, we're looking again at a 1 energy. 9 and 10 is 19, again, aligning with today, the 19th, but again, new beginnings. And alignment just seems to keep coming into my head here, particularly with the hermit, and taking that time to align in spirit and trusting the process. Because see, there's another aspect. When spirit is informing all of this, you can trust the process. When ego is, not so much. But he doesn't have to look where he's going, because spirit is guiding his way. Let's do another card. We should stop right here since we're in total synchronicity with today, but let's keep going. Well, we have shared abundance. I love this card. This is one of my favorite cards of tarot. You see the X right here, which is reminiscent of about balanced energy exchange, the seventh rune of the Elder Futhar. We see 6 cups filled with flowers with a white lily in each one for purity, the purity of motive, purity of the moment itself, of shared abundance. Random acts of kindness, gifts. 6s are about, when you're looking at the energy of these numbers, what we see in the even numbers are harmony. We see with the 2, we're going to talk about balance or inner harmony, or maybe balance with someone else, or a decision, but you're talking about some kind of balance. Then with the 4, we're looking at a greater level of that. We're looking at a greater level of harmony that begins to include other people, and it begins to be the structure of our lives. When we move to the 6, we're starting to really understand the greater aspect of self. With the 8, we're bringing in leadership qualities to that whole greater aspect of or unity consciousness experience that we need to be having with everyone, because that's who we are. You know, this division that we're experiencing now is not natural. It isn't normal. It isn't actually who we are. Unfortunately, ego gets in the way, and we start seeing the other instead of the other side of self, and it makes it very difficult to come into harmony with someone else when we think that they're out to get us, or they're out to take the job we have, or we think that they're pulling a fast one, or they're getting over or something. We get into this animosity, we get into this weird conflict of us versus them that makes us go nowhere. It doesn't even allow us to see the present moment with intelligence or wisdom. But here, with the 6, you can see that she's just offering this young girl is offering a golden chalice of love and blessings to someone else who's just wandering by. She's clearly not a woman of means, but yet she's giving anyway. And that's the thing about the 6 of Cups. You know, we're talking emotion, we're talking about blessing, we're talking about a gift, we're talking about, in fact, I don't think I'm going to do a 4th card. I think I'm going to go straight to the rune here. But we're talking about understanding that we have all that we need and we want to share it with somebody else. We see that in the 10 of Wands. We trust in spirit, and we know that harmony is present. We know that alignment is present. We know that that's where we're progressing from. We view everything from that standpoint. It's a lovely way to begin the week, isn't it? Let's look at the rune and see what we have. We're doing pretty well on time here, even with talking about the day's correspondences. Well, we're looking at Ansu's, which is the 4th rune of the Elder Futhar. It's known as Odin's rune, which we'll put right with the Hermit. We'll call that Odin. This is the mouth of God, the mouth of spirit, the voice of spirit. So this is about spirit communication. And again, it aligns perfectly with today's energies of new beginnings and letting spirit inform that entire process. But let's do a geomancy rune and see what we can come up with there. Now, if you haven't been here before, I do a monthly geomancy post on the blog over at imsteppingaside.com. I do that once a month at the beginning of the month, along with a monthly tarot reading. Those are both up there. So if you want to look at the geomancy reading for August and get an idea of what this is, ultimately, when you do a reading, there's 2 different types of charts you can put these in. You can use one that Agrippa used to use, which is having to do with astrological houses, which is also interesting. I don't, for the purposes of the monthly reading, do it that way. But occasionally I'll do one on the blog that's during the month that are like that. But ultimately what I'm going to end up doing is doing a shield chart. And the chart's read from right to left, and you create the first 4, and from there the rest of the chart is created. So, but for the purposes of today, I just take the runes and I just sort of, jumble them up a little bit and throw them down. And I'm going to create a 4-level glyph. It's going to be put in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. And I can draw it out for you if I don't throw my pen away. But let's see what we have here. So which one is fire? That's not fire. This one must be fire. So we have a dual dot, which you have a single dot on one side and two dots on the other. The single dot is an active influence or initiating type of an influence, and the dual dot is a passive influence. So we have a passive influence for fire. For air, we have a passive influence, so two dots. For water, we have a single, which is an initiative or an active influence, and again another single for earth. And so what we have here then is the geomancy rune called, where is a piece of paper? There it is. We have a geomancy rune called Fortuna Major. There's a Fortuna Major and a Fortuna Minor in geomancy. The major one is greater fortune, and the of course minor one is lesser fortune, or fortune that's a little bit unstable. This is a little more stable fortune, or stable positive influence, or stable gain, one that's sustainable. The other one maybe is just a little more fleeting, and which is fine, but this is what it looks like. So what does that have to do with everything then? I think if you look at Fortuna Major in terms of spirit and Fortuna Minor in terms of ego, maybe you can understand it a little bit better. What is sustainable for us, if I can say that here? What is? Is it something that is ego-based, or is it something that's spirit-based? What we're seeing right now in our world affects all of us. Well, maybe it does, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it has a direct effect, maybe it does not. But even our relationships are strained now because of the political situation out there. If you are in the majority of the country, you don't support what's going on. There is just a minority in the country now that do. And so the notion of today's reading doesn't seem to take place there, not within that particular scenario. So we have to stand on the precipice of something new, don't we, with the hermit, and allow the spirit, the voice of spirit, to inform everything that we do, the choices that we make. Become well prepared for the future. Trust that the way forward is clear, even when we have a whole lot in front of us here, such as in the Ten of Wands. He doesn't need to see in front of him because he trusts the way forward is clear for him. And with the voice of spirit, telling him what to do and informing the entire process, he trusts that, you see. Because if we don't, then shared abundance is very difficult. Random acts of kindness toward others that may be in need of something. Or just wandering by and you just want to say something nice to somebody, or offer to help, They drop something on the floor. They dump a bunch of stuff on the floor, step down and help them pick it up. Just little things. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be donations. It doesn't have to be anything like that. It could just be your time. We've talked about that a lot here. That sometimes time is the most is the greatest blessing we can give someone. Just to listen to them, just to listen to how they feel, listen to what's going on in their lives. Maybe 5 minutes out of your life, and yet it can mean so much to someone else. That's the real true Fortuna Major. That is what is sustainable in our lives. So maybe with today, when we start thinking about if we're going to go within and do a little bit of an alignment ritual, perhaps, maybe what we need to do is to think about what is the real blessing in our life? What is the true expression of Fortuna Major? Is it, getting all we can? Is it all the possessions that we have, or is it the relationships that we cherish and that we create and maintain along the way? I think that that's probably the real blessing here. So, well, that's interesting. Let me look and see on the post I did today. Oh, the moon is in a trine with Mercury, a trine aspect with Mercury. So if you're going to be working any magic today, the energy is there for workings of clarity. Of course, dawn is already gone, so that's where healing and new beginnings could have taken place, magics during that time. However, if you want to do it during the evening time, then that's a good time for spirituality workings and aligning with spirit, healing, dream work, visions, all of that. So you may want to wait until the nighttime hours to do whatever working you might want to do today. The power today is to dare, elements water, direction is west, moonstone, selenite, mugwort, hyssop, sandalwood. Those are all different things you can include on the altar. And if you need to use an Olympic spirit in your working, if you need to summon someone to help you a little bit, then Phul, Phul, is the Olympic spirit for today, for Monday. Especially if you need to extend your life to 300 years. That's the one you call. In any event, I guess that does it for the correspondences. I'm going to probably work with this, incorporate this into the reading every day, just to kind of get people, if you're of the magical persuasion, you can head over to the blog. You can take a look at the whole thing over at imsteppingaside.com. You can go there. I've been doing that. I did that all last week, and I think I'm just going to start doing that. And it's just going to be Monday correspondences, Tuesday correspondences, blah, blah, right? But what's going to change will be, some of the stuff is going to remain the same, because each day's correspondences, there's some that are just the same each time, right? Mondays are what they are, Tuesdays are what they are, all of that. But there will be things that change, and that's going to come from the astrological chart that's going to appear below. And you can take a look at that as well. And so some things will remain the same and some things will change. So just be aware of that. And if you're into any of that, go ahead and check that out. It's a lot easier than having to look something up in a correspondence book or your grimoire if you don't feel like doing that. I published all of this in a small book of correspondences called Witch Notes. If you're interested in that, there's a link on the website to that underneath the post. If you're interested in looking at that, that's available over at Amazon. But I guess that's it. And then weekly, I'm going to do the weekly Moon and Rune, or Rune and Moon, I guess. I can't remember. I have to always check out. How did I phrase that? But I've done that twice now, and I really liked it. I've been including not only I start out with a runic base, so there's 7 runes, one for each day, and it begins on Sunday, and then I include instead of astrology, I include human design gates and lines, and what human design incorporates and what it does is it blends I Ching with astrological data. Okay, so wherever all the planets are moving to, they're going to move to a particular gate and line, and what the gates and lines are basically the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, and each line of each hexagram is a place on that particular chart. And so it's remarkably prescient. It's remarkably intuitive. The synchronicities that I find when I do this way are so interesting. And so I've been doing that. So I've started that series and I've done it twice now, and I'm really happy with it. And so you'll see, but incorporated into that will also be current moon information. So as the moon moves into another sign on whatever particular day it's doing that, then that'll also be in there as well. But most of and if there's an interesting transit, though, it's probably going to be on the correspondence posts. It might be in there, but like particularly if there's a channel that's active in the human design chart, and those are not actually called charts, those are called bodygrams. And so in any event, I'm blending all of that together, and it's really fascinating. I'm really happy with it. So that's going to continue for the foreseeable future. So check that out over there at imsteppingaside.com, and click subscribe here too as well. I'd love you to do that and come back and join our tarot and rune family and explore all of this with us. You know, if you have questions or you have another interpretation for something, include it in the comments. We're all here to learn, and it might be something that unlocks something for, you know, something that someone's been dealing with. Your interpretation might give them insight that they've been looking for. So do put things in the comments, and we can maybe get dialogue going and all of that, and just see where we go from there on this. So click subscribe and come back, and we'll see you tomorrow. And again, I'll either do this one tonight for tomorrow, or I'll be back again tomorrow to do this. And I'll let you know from there what's going on. And I'll give you your daily jury duty update. And we'll see you tomorrow. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Thank you so much for coming by. And blessed be.